It's you. I am on cloud nine that you're here. Let's talk. So, how can keeping a sketchbook completely change your life? Well, I think that if you don't do it right, keeping a sketchbook won't change your life. Because if we use the same kind of mind that most of us walk around with, the one that's critical, the one that's mean, the one that tells us we can't do this, we're not going to be good at this painting is no good, this drawing, man, it is not what anybody wants to see. If we use that inside of ourselves and use that as where we start from, we're setting ourselves up to fail. Instead, what we need to do is we need to cultivate compassion. And that may, on the surface, seem like an easy thing. You might think, well, I'm nice to little animals, and I water my plants, and, I try to do some good deeds for people from time to time. But if what we really do is superficially cultivate compassion, but we have none for ourselves, well, where are we really going to go with that? Keeping a sketchbook allows us to access parts of our subconscious, the collective unconscious, our way of seeing the world, and our way of how we treat ourselves as well. Our sketchbook is going to be what we use to examine the world around us. And probably most importantly, the world within us. And what I mean by that is that when we use a sketchbook and when we use it right, it allows us to create, which is amazing in and of itself, but it's going to allow you to look at your work and to be compassionate to yourself. And you can't tell me for a second that that is not going to be a benefit. What that means is that we need to learn to let go. We need to learn to breathe. We need to understand that this moment, right here and right now, this is a beautiful moment. And I know maybe you had a bad day. Maybe you're having a whole bunch of bad days. But when you turn those bad days upside down and you look at them and you ask yourself, well, what's the alternative to that? I think you're going to start to see that what you previously thought as a rotten day was actually a day that you had a lot of potential to do a lot of good, to cultivate a lot of compassion, to help others, and to help yourself. Because at the end of the day, what is the most important thing is that we start to see our lives differently. And I don't mean, someday you're going to do that. I mean today. And yeah, a lot of stuff may have happened before. Maybe people treated you poorly. Maybe you treated yourself poorly. Maybe endless other options. Because let's face it, this is a big world and lots of people, and there are lots of things that can happen in all of that. Life can be messy. Your sketchbook, though, is a blank slate. Literally. It's a whole bunch of blank pages that are whispering at you. Whispering at you to create something. Whispering at you to have fun. Whispering at you to be creative, to unlock your potential. And whispering at you to be kinder to yourself. When you were a little kid, I bet you sat on the floor or sat at the table and took out your crayons and markers and pencils and pens, and you drew things, stick figures with big smiley faces, sunshine with, an awesome face shining light into your world. And yeah, maybe that art changed over the years. But when we were kids, that was the way we saw the world. And maybe that was a good way to see the world. You just created for the love of it. So you might be asking yourself now, well, how am I going to do that? How do I recapture that? Well, you do it by little steps. Every single day, you're going to be creative. Every single day, you are going to open up that sketchbook, and without fail, you're going to do something in it. Even if it is just a few lines, even if it is just taking some color and splashing it on that page, even if it is minimalist art, because that's all you have time for. It's nothing like having no time to do something to create minimalist art. At the end of the day, it's not going to matter, because you're going to fill that sketchbook if you do it every day. And there's been people that have made comments on this channel that, you know, they have lots of sketchbooks that they've not finished, or that, you know, that sketchbook looks scary to them. And nah, man, your sketchbook is your best friend. Your sketchbook is you. And what I would love to see from you and for you is that your sketchbook really opens up a new door of possibility for you. It's the ground floor of learning how to treat yourself better. It's the ground floor of starting to see the world better. It's the ground floor of truly learning how to be compassionate, because we have to be compassionate to ourselves first before we can even attempt to be compassionate to the world around us. And believe me, when you do this, your world is going to change completely. It's going to be the way that you see everything. You're going to want to create every day. And you're going to want to do better. Do better at being creative. Do better at being compassionate. Do better at being experimental. Trying new things. Seeing what different artists do and mimicking that. And that's great. That's an amazing thing. And that's a step in the right direction. If every day we're striving to be better and to get more and to examine our lives fully. Because in the end, that's what the sketchbook is. It's a chance for us to examine our lives, to examine our place in that, to try new things. And when we do that, and we don't pick ourselves apart, when we do that, and we can smile at the things that we did, smile at the things that we tried sometimes. Because let's face it, sometimes you're going to try stuff and it's going to be, well, that was an experiment. And that's not a terrible thing. I love trying new things with my sketchbook and my art. And, you know, what I find quite often is sometimes I'm doing it, I'm like, man, this is not going where I thought it would be. And more often than not, if I stick with it and I try to experiment with that thing that I'm working on that I thought was falling apart, at the end, if I keep at it, and maybe that means putting it aside for a few minutes and then bringing it back and working at it some more, what you're going to find is that you're going to think yourself a genius. You're going to find that you're going to be like, wow, man, this was actually great. And more often than not, what I find is when I look back on the things that I've created in my sketchbook, I'm blown away by it. Those things that maybe at the time I thought, yeah, that's okay. When I look back at it, I love it. And what that teaches you is how important compassion is for us. It's like that sign on an airplane that, you know, you have to put that oxygen mask on yourself first before you can put it on somebody else. And that's what our art teaches us. It's to be creative for sure, but to be creative in a compassionate way where I accept the things that I do and I learn from them. Every day that you create, guess what? You're getting better. Whether you believe it or not, whether you see it or not, you're going to put that sketchbook after you're finished, you're going to put it on the shelf, and then someday you're going to go back at it and you're going to be like, holy smokes, the stuff I'm doing now is so much better. There's been so much evolution. There's been so much change. And it's because of that day by day process. And you only get there if you are compassionate to yourself. So, what's the takeaway from all of this? The takeaway is simply this: two things. Create every day without fail. Without fail. It's going to be your thing. You're going to sit down and you're going to do something. If that means turning off the TV, if it means, finding a space where you can spend 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes just to yourself, then you're going to do it. And you are then, the second part of that is to be non-judgmental. And that also means, by the way, not to be, wow, this is awesome. It's just what it is. And then let that it's awesome take effect later. Because what can happen if you get yourself into that hamster wheel of this is awesome is the next day you could be, this one isn't so awesome. Look at it all as amazing. Look at it all as incredible. Because you know what? It is. I can guarantee your dog doesn't create art. And as smart as orangutans and chimpanzees and gorillas are, I don't think they really naturally create art. Maybe someone can teach them to do it. I don't know. But it's not a natural process. For us human beings, we have this amazing ability that we can create things. I'm sure there's other beings out there in this vast universe that can do amazing things too. But for now, this is it. This is us. And when we allow ourselves to create, it opens up new doors for us. It gives us new ways to think, new ways to feel, new ways to experience, new ways to see. And that's what our world needs. And that's what you need. That's what I need. We need to be able to think creatively. We need to create, invent, experiment, and most importantly, we need to cultivate that compassion that doing art every day will create in your life. When we can be compassionate for ourselves, we can be compassionate for other things. And what this world and what our lives, your life and mine, what they really need is more people who are steadfast in their want to cultivate compassion, to see compassion grow in their lives, to make that be the reason that they get up in the morning. Creativity and compassion. Those are two pretty cool things if you think about it. And at the end of the day, if we can get that going in our lives, man, I think you have unlimited potential to what you can do and what we can create in this world together. So, there you go. Let's try to be a little bit stronger in ourselves. Let's be a little bit kinder. Let's be more creative, more compassionate. Thanks so much for tuning in. Please spread the word about this channel if you could. If you know other people that could benefit from it, other people that you think, this could help, let them know about it. Because we're all in this together. Each and every one of us, we're in this together. And if we can help each other, that's a great thing. Please don't forget to say hi in the comments. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know, what kind of awesome, creative mess of a world that you're creating for yourself. And please, if you haven't yet, hit like and subscribe. And you can find me, by the way, on Instagram. I love it when people track me down there. And other than that, keep being awesome to yourself and to others. Thanks a lot.